Look, I know I'm a little bit late covering It, Welcome to Derry, but in my defense, I have been pretty busy. Surprisingly, 28 people watching my videos doesn't keep the lights on, so unfortunately, I have to keep the day job. I might have to start dancing like this guy for some extra cash. But nevertheless, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite horror TV shows of this year. Oh, I mean last year. I'm a little behind. With the first two films having mixed reviews, one being great and the other, not so good, one thing is for certain. Bill Skarsgård is the cornerstone to making this media watchable, and you can really tell. I personally really enjoyed both films, but I might be a little biased with part 2. I absolutely love Bill Hader, and if you haven't seen Barry, you need to go watch it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Even though I love both the It films, one thing I cannot stand is when people think this is It's true form. Clowns do not come from space, people, at least not normally. And actually, one of my favorite subplots helps clear this up with diving into Bob Gray's past and how the entity chose to take his form and moniker of Pennywise. And the lore building really helps keep this show afloat for me. Without Halloran, the military, the native people, and the promising return of Pennywise, I would have been done by episode 3. I was really just sticking around for the mystery of all this world building that we're seeing. And honestly, a lot of my gripes are from the earlier season, and that's because there is so much filler, but the payoff is so worth it. Honestly, if the show didn't take it up a gear, I might have been wishing for a little bit more of what happened at the end of episode 1. And if you couldn't tell from that long list I gave of things I liked and was excited to explore a little bit more, the kids were not one of them. I personally could not care less about majority of the kids cast. I will say I feel like a lot of people overhyped Rich just a little bit, and honestly the March hate was a little bit too much at the beginning of the show. But I will say, as the show progressed, they got me. I was really sad when Rich died, and I was really hyped up when he flipped the bird to Pennywise. That was pretty cool. And if it's not obvious by now, I really did not care for much of the beginning of the show. The first 4 episodes were really slow and honestly couldn't care less. A lot of it was filler and a lot of it was setup, but like I said, the payoff was so worth it. But before I get into the things that I really enjoyed about this show, I do want to talk about something that might be a little silly. But this kid right here, at the very beginning of the show, there is no way this kid's worst fear is a pregnant woman spewing out a radiated baby due to the Cold War that's happening. I personally think if this intergalactic being is killing kids to eat their fear, he would want to get the most out of this kid right here. I don't even know this kid's name, but he would want the most fear out of him, and I don't think this is the way to do it. I think maybe it would be like Bev with her abusive father. His father should be, doing crazy things to him, but that might just be me. Maybe we need to change the first movie to having Bev get chased by Godzilla. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And anyways, while I'm on the hate train, one last little hit here, just gonna throw a jab out. How the hell did that get past post-production? What are we doing here? And finally, on to the goods. We don't really watch shows and TV and movies and all these great things to hate them. We watch them because we want to love them. So let's talk about the things that we liked about It, Welcome to Derry. Obviously, we have to start with the man of the hour, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. His performance is not only game-changing, not only is this a great performance, but this is the performance you will talk about when you talk about Bill Skarsgård because it is astounding. He was phenomenal in films like Barbarian, Deadpool 2 even with a comedic role, and Nosferatu, but this is something special. The way Bill uses his body, he moves his eyes, which by the way is not CGI, and the way he smiles, which is also not CGI, is just downright creepy, okay? But how is this outing of Pennywise different than the films? Well, I really think it's because they understand who the entity is just a little bit more, and them diving into the entity's past is really helping develop who the entity is as Pennywise. He is actually performing for kids, and you can see it when he's on stage at the final episode. Also, we get the first scene where we get the entity's perspective as our primary focus, which I thought was very cool, and I think it's helping everyone understand who the entity is. The show also touches on the entity's confusion with time itself. This is a fourth dimensional creature that is terrorizing kids in a physical form. So yes, inherently, this fourth dimensional creature should be confused in essence, which allows for one of the greatest scenes in the entire show with Marge. Besides the D1 rage bait from Big P himself, my favorite subplot has to be with Pennywinkle. It is actually so great how the character of Pennywinkle is a built-in narrative narrative choice that helps all of our main characters come together. Obviously, they come together at like the worst point in history ever, and it's actually recorded throughout Derry that this is like such a horrific thing that happens. Even Mike in the first It film is kind of terrorized by it when Pennywise brings it back up, D1 Rage Bait again. But giving such a rich character, such an important part of the story of joining all of our main protagonists together is such a good way to show that this fog over Derry, it's not just this clown that is defeated in It Part 2 by the Losers Club, but it is the entity of It, this intergalactic being that is a fog that can spread across the world and is the eater of worlds that he talks about. So it's just a great way to hone in kind of a smaller story and make such a horrific and important piece of glue that actually holds the show together and gives it such a natural flow. But yeah, I wish I could keep going into the things that I absolutely love and honestly the things that were not so great, but I've spent way too much time on making this video, and frankly, I want to work on something else. So that's what I'm gonna go do. So I give It Welcome to Derry a 7 out of 10 because I had a lot of highs and I had a lot of lows, but overall, I enjoyed my time in Derry.